Tell me, now how many of you just opened Figma, stared at a blank frame, and started designing? With no plan, no structure, just inspo and a color palette. I have been there as well. And every single time, I either felt lost or had to redo it. Because I skipped these 3 important stages that would have told me exactly what to build before I started building it. On day 4, we talked briefly about what user research is. That phase tells you about your users you're designing for. It did not give you any screens. But there is a whole process between I understand the problem and I've designed the solution. So let's uncover that process today. Stage 1. Storyboard. I'm going to make a lot of references from my UX design certification course. You'll find some similarities and definitions are going to be from that. So what is a storyboard? A storyboard is a series of panels like a comic strip that visually describes users' experience with the product. There are 2 types. A big picture storyboard focuses on how and why. So their emotional journey, their environment, their pain point, and how your design changes their situation. A close-up storyboard focuses on the what. What happens to each screen and what the user does from moving from one screen to another. And before you draw a single panel, write one scenario sentence. That sentence should include your user and the problem. And every panel comes from that sentence. Remember that this step isn't about art. It's about making sure your design solves something real for a real person before you spend hours making it look pretty. Stage 2, wireframes. A wireframe is a basic outline of a digital experience. The layouts, hierarchy, functions, not about the color, not about the typography, just structure. Here's the thing that most students either skip or ignore it, but literally just sketch at least 5 different versions of each page and start the best elements from each. Combine them into one and only then you take it to Figma. So why does this order matter? Stakeholders give completely different feedback on a wireframe than they do on a high fidelity screen. When there's no color or no beautiful typography, they focus on what actually matters. Does this layout make sense? Does the structure serve the user? And that's the feedback that makes your design better. Stage 3, prototype. So there are 2 different kinds of prototypes. There's lo-fi and there's hi-fi. And this is where it gets exciting. A prototype is an early model that demonstrates functionality. A clickable prototype lets users navigate between screens and see how the product actually behaves. The first is a low fidelity prototype. Wireframes were just sketches. And now with this low fidelity, you take it to the next step of adding interactions, just connections between screens so a user can navigate and you can test whether the flow actually makes sense. And this is the one you build first in Figma. The second one is the high fidelity prototype. This is where you can add all the visuals that you perhaps are looking forward to. The color, the typography. This one is more close to what a real product would look like. And also what you test with your users before getting the single line of code. If you're asking questions like, does this flow make sense? That's the lo-fi. And if you're asking, does this feel right? Then that's hi-fi. Lo-fi catches the structural problems, whereas hi-fi catches the emotional ones. Here's the thing. People skip the step they least find exciting. But you have to understand that each step in this process is just as important as any other. They are the real work. So here's the question. Which of these 3 steps do you always skip? If you don't, perfect. But if you do, tell me why. Stay tuned for day 7. See ya.